Hey guys, M2 Collector here with another figure review. Next up is the Hasbro Marvel Legends series, the Retro Iron Man Wave, the Iron Man Model 20. Very excited about this one. This one's going to be all new sculpt of Iron Man and everything. So we've had some pretty good ones. I think the last great Iron Man figure that we had was the Extremis figure here. So I'll do a comparison with this one. We've had, since the Iron Man Extremis, I'd have to go back. I know we got the Heroic Age or something that came in the Marvels wave. Not as good an Iron Man figure, not a terrible figure by any means, but that Extremis one is really special, so this one I think is going to be equally special, so I'm excited. I did get a chance to check it out at WonderCon. I didn't really mess with it too much, but I'm excited to check it out here for you guys. So I got my set from ToySnowman.com, so link in the video description below for my referral link, which will give you a 5% off coupon code when you first create an account. So new users, new accounts, you will get that 5% off coupon code in your Frost Rewards. Currently, Iron Man Model 20, She-Hulk, and Whiplash are unfortunately sold out, but Count Nefaria, Iron Man Model 9, and Iron Man Model 1 Gold is currently in stock and available. Remember, Toy Snowman is based in Canada. You can adjust the settings to show you the US dollar price. Or, you know, your country's currency, whatever it is. But ToySnowman.com, link in the video description below. They are amazing to work with, so I really appreciate them. So here, Iron Man, beautiful artwork, beautiful card back for the Iron Man Retro Wave. You can see here the gimmick is swapping hands. That's gonna, hopefully that's not a trending theme through the wave. But anyway, the bio for Iron Man Model 20 reads, with Stark Tech wreaking havoc in the wrong hands, Iron Man does a new high-tech suit designed to fight the evils of the world. Pretty generic one, but not the figure. So let's go ahead and check it out. Okay, so here is the Iron Man Model 20 figure out of the package, and I got him in a superhero landing. It's the funniest thing. I recorded this whole clip about how this figure can't do a superhero landing, and I'm like, it's an awesome looking figure. Sure, it's not my favorite because I can't get into a damn superhero pose, and look at that. I ended up getting into superhero pose. I had to go back to my Extremis figure and I was like, man, how do I get into a superhero pose? Because I can't do the Extremis in a superhero pose. But when I reviewed the figure, I did. And bam, I got it. Now, it's a little wonky. From straight on, it works. But from the side, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it kind of does, kind of doesn't. If this figure had a ball joint at the waist, holy moly, would it have been awesome. Because as it right now, it has a waist swivel and it has the diaphragm cut. They are pretty redundant, so it's not super necessary. And the diaphragm doesn't allow for a whole lot of forward motion. So you just have to position the legs in kind of a wonky way, and then bam, you can get it into the superhero pose. So it's just funny because I was all kinds of mad at myself. I'm like, this figure can't do it. I don't know how they did it in the promo images. It doesn't make sense. But bam, I got it. So we did it. The accessories that this Iron Man comes with is he has an extra pair of hands. So as of right now, out of the package, he's got a fist on his right, and then an open hand with the peg hole for the blast effect in his left. So we get the opposite. We get an extra right hand, we get an extra left hand, so the fist and the open hands. We get 4 of these blast effects. We don't typically get 4 at a time, which is cool. Now these are the same ones that we always have gotten, minus the flare-up piece at the opposite end. So these pegs end up being a little long for these hands, but I mean, I guess it works. But you when you plug them in, if I can get that to work, when you plug them in, it doesn't go, like you could see how it doesn't quite go in all the way. Because that flare piece would have taken up some of that space, but we don't have that here. But the cool thing, and why I'm talking about it, is because we get 4 of these, so we can use 2 for the hands and we can use 2 for the feet, all at one time, instead of using accessories from all your other Iron Man figures and trying to color match what they have. We got all 4 at one time, so we could do it. That's pretty cool. That's how it should be. 4 at one time, so we can do all that stuff. And then we have the Iron Man figure. So let's go ahead and get in for a closer look. I'm sad that I'm going to have to take it out of the superhero pose because, you know, it took me a minute. But we got it. Okay, so Iron Man. This is not my favorite Iron Man figure. It's really not. It's a good Iron Man figure, sure, but I think my favorite Iron Man is either going to be the modular Iron Man figure, either the regular Ursa Major wave or the bright red and yellow PulseCon exclusive retro card back version. Those are probably going to go down as kind of my favorite Iron Man figures. The Extremis figure is very, very nice. Absolutely very, very good. It's over here back in the corner. Again, I'll do a comparison with those. But this one's a good one. The thing about this one, though, is he's got butterfly joints. Extremis, if it had butterfly joints, holy moly. This guy does. They're not super functional, but they're there. The figure looks really good, though, again. The red and gold is awesome, but I hate that waist swivel cut in there. I hate it. Imagine if there was a ball joint at the waist right there, and you can move it nice and easy. But we don't have that, unfortunately. But looking at the Iron Man helmet, very cool sculpt work in the helmet. As you can see, a lot of curves and things going in there. Paint work is pretty good with the black outline over the whites and then over the mouthpiece. It looks pretty good. If anything, maybe a tad bit too much black in there. Not that big of a deal. Looking at the back of the figure, we had some gold and red. The gold, for the most part, like on the torso and the legs, that's all molded plastic. Like here on the arms, that's where you're going to see the paint of the gold. So a little bit of a darker color on the painted spots because the plastic is molded like metallic looking plastic, whereas the paint, obviously, is just like a metallic paint. One thing, we get yellow paint there in the back of the hands. And then one thing that's kind of odd about this figure is we have pins on the lower knees. Now, if you look at the design of the suit, right, we got what would look like a pin there. It's not a pin because that piece doesn't go up on the inside. So I think that's just the design choice. And it's just funny that it would be a pin and then pinless up here. Now, people are going to cry, why are we getting pinless pins in 2024? That's a design choice there. Was it necessary? Probably not, but it works. It makes it look a little bit more realistic than that does, right? So it works for me. And then over here at the ankle, what would look like a pin is not actually a pin. So it's just funny that that one is actually a pin on the lower knee. Not a big deal, not a deal breaker by any means, because again, that's going to be part of the design because you got it there, 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 there. It just so happens this one is an actual pin, but look up here where it would really count. Pinless, so we don't have a red pin on that gold section that would look terribly ugly. So that is cool. But yeah, we have these back pieces here. These flaps are pretty rubbery, so you can move them around. They're not going to break or start to, dig into the plastic or anything like that. No need to worry about that. So that is the Iron Man figure. Now let's go ahead and check out his articulation. Okay, so the articulation in the neck is actually really great. So he can look up all the way, which is awesome when you want to get him into flight poses and things like that. He can look down quite a bit there. The neck piece is a separate piece in that torso. So you could swivel at that neck and then you could swivel the head itself. And the cool thing is with that neck and and everything, you can do some pivot in the neck. So nice touch there by Hasbro. You have these shoulder pieces. These shoulder pieces can pop out. They're just kind of pegged into that arm there. So it's going to freely move with the figure, of course. So when you want to get the arm to go straight on out, you can do so like that. If you want to do a full rotation, you can do so as well. The butterfly joint, though, is here's the thing. When it comes to the shoulders and the butterfly joint, is you got to position the shoulders in a way that's going to make sense for the butterfly joint. So moving that arm back, as you can see, so this is straight out and then this is back, so it doesn't go back a huge amount because you got this thing that's really going to stop the sculpt from being able to do a bigger butterfly, right? And then coming forward, you have to kind of move that shoulder ball to be able to do it. Now we get some crossbody, which is good, as you can see there, so it becomes functional. It's just a little funky, and you got to keep in mind where that shoulder pad is, because I've had a few times where I'm trying to do it, not thinking about it, haven't moved it in the best way, right, like this, and then it starts to pop the shoulder off, and that's how I knew that it could just peg in, soft rubber, and kind of peg in, and you can move it around. Upper bicep swivel, double jointed pinless elbow, gives you that much bend at the elbow, which is nice. Wrist swivel, and they do hinge. Standard horizontal hinge. The open hands can move forward a little bit. The ones, they have a hinge, so you would think theoretically they can move back. They really, really don't, because this back plate piece on the hand is not going to allow you to hinge that hand back. Now you can see it's a little pliable and it wants to do it, but then it goes right back to straight out. So these blast effects just become not functional with the hand. So you have to have the whole hand out like this as opposed to arms straight out and trying to do the hand. So think about like Extremis doesn't have that back hand plate. So when you hinge the hand, you can actually do that. This guy cannot because of that back hand plate. So that kind of sucks. Not a big fan of that. But what do? You have to sacrifice the articulation for the correct design, right? It's one of those unfortunate things. You got to go for the aesthetic there. But it sucks. It's a big sacrifice. We get a diaphragm cut on Iron Man, so he could tilt to his left that much. He could tilt to his right that much. Imagine a ball joint, how much more he could tilt. Going back, he can go back that much there. He doesn't really need to go back a whole lot. But here's the thing. Coming forward, that's forward, guys. That's forward. Diaphragm cuts by Hasbro just aren't very good. You can't come forward too much at all. And then the thing is, you could get a swivel at that diaphragm, but we have a waist swivel, so it's redundant. It's not necessary. Oh, a ball joint. It would fit perfectly in there if they would have done that. Legs go out that far apart. That's pretty amazing. That's full-on splits. That is crazy. What sucks is kicking forward is only there. And that would have helped with the superhero landing, because if you look at the Extremis, and you have to sacrifice some of the look for this, is look how deep into those hips that is to allow a leg to kick forward all the way. We didn't get that here as much, and I wouldn't have minded if it was pulled back a little bit to allow a little bit more kick forward motion, but that's all we get. The leg doesn't really go back either. You got an upper thigh cut in there, a double jointed half pinless knee there, and that's, I think, good enough. Man in a big old metal suit. We have an ankle swivel in there. The foot doesn't really hinge down though, because it's going to hit the back of the leg, so that sucks trying to go back. You can hinge forward because this rubber piece will be able to move with that foot to hinge it up, but back is just not going to happen, unfortunately. There is ankle pivot. The ankle pivot's tough because you got the design of this ankle here that's going to hinder it a little bit, but just know that in certain areas you can pivot the ankle in certain things. So it depends on how you're going to have the foot, but just know that it's a little restrictive. And we do have peg holes at the bottom of the feet, obviously, because if we're going to get him into some flight poses, you got the blast effects, because we got 4 of them. You could do Iron Man in flight pose like so, which is nice. And so, as you can see, when you have all Hasbro pole stand, I had them. So when you have them on the stand, you can have all 4 blast effects. So you could have the blast out of his feet. So you could do, the flight poses, and then out of his hands for his stabilizers. So boom, you could do all 4 at one time, which is cool. Or even straight up, so you could do kind of the blasting off type of effect there. Okay, so for the side-by-side comparisons, we have the Model 20 and the Extremis armor. The Extremis armor is, I like more than this one, but I do really like the colors of this one even more. Again, it reminds me very much of like the modular Iron Man figure. And I think that modular Iron Man is probably either my first favorite or my second favorite behind Extremis. Probably, depending on the day, I may change my mind on which one I like a little bit more. But as cool as Model 20 is in terms of the sculpt and the look of the figure and everything like that, it's just not a favorite of mine. It's not as high up on the list. It is still a very good figure that people are going to be very happy with. Absolutely. But for me, it's just not as good as I think I wanted it to be, unfortunately. Okay, you know what? I brought out the modular Iron Man figure to show you guys. It's just a beautiful figure. The reds and the golds don't really match as much as I had thought, but more so like compared to like Extremis, which is very muted red and gold there. But I guess they're fairly similar. But awesome looking figures. Again, the Model 20 has a lot of sculpt work and stuff and details in it that are pretty awesome that modular just simply doesn't have. A lot of smooth lines and things going on there. Again, just not my favorite, but functionally it's awesome because we get butterfly joints on an Iron Man figure. Like that's been a long time coming. So you guys let me know what you guys think of the Iron Man Model 20. Am I just not seeing the vision, as my daughter would say, the vision But again, very good looking figure, just not my favorite, that's all. And then comparison with the Wave so far, because it's only my second figure in the Wave that I've now reviewed, we look at She-Hulk. She-Hulk is going to be the best figure in the Wave, hands down. Sorry, it is what it is, that's how it's going to work. Model 20 is probably going to be the second best figure in the Wave. Even if it's not my favorite Iron Man figure, it's still a very good figure. So the other ones are still going to be good too. Maybe not Model 9 as much. Model 9 we've essentially had a couple of times. Now there is a retro card version. I do not have a loose version of that, but I have like the old school Hasbro Ironmonger Wave one that I will take a look at. And this guy, the little guy, look how small he is. He's just a little tiny thing, and it's not a very good one. So I will do a comparison later on to show you guys that. But here, Iron Man Model 20, She-Hulk so far from the retro Iron Man Wave. Very exciting Wave. The card backs are beautiful. I had to rip these things open. I don't like to do that, but I will get eventually a second set so I can have a whole set mint on card. But anyway, let me know your guys' thoughts on the Model 20. Let me know what you think of the Wave down in the comments below. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, thank you for watching. Make sure to go to toysnowman.com for all your action figure needs. Link in the video description below.